Have you ever asked yourself, is it still safe to travel after 70? It's a question most people avoid asking. Because let's face it, nobody wants to admit that the body, the spirit, the energy that once carried us across continents is now more fragile. We see people our age posting cruise photos or backpacking through Europe, and we think, maybe I can too. After all, wasn't this supposed to be the reward? The golden years. The time when the kids are grown, the house is paid off, and you finally have time, real time, to see the world. But what if I told you that this dream, while beautiful, also hides dangers that most seniors never think about until it's too late? You see, as we age, our strength doesn't just shift, it recalibrates. Our tolerance for chaos shrinks, our immune system slows, and even our emotions become more delicate in ways we rarely admit. What once felt like an adventure might now feel like an overwhelming series of decisions, delays, and physical strain. And the world? It hasn't slowed down just because we did. Airports are louder, flights are longer, destinations are less predictable. The romance of travel still calls, but the risks are louder than they used to be. In this video, we're going to talk honestly, without fear-mongering, without shame, about why travel after 70 can be risky. We'll walk through 6 very real reasons, each grounded in stories, facts, and the lived experiences of older adults just like you. This isn't about telling you to stop exploring. It's about reclaiming your safety, your peace, and your power, so that if you do travel, you'll do it on your terms. And before we begin, if you find comfort in content that's thoughtful, honest, and truly made with your well-being in mind, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. We're here to walk this path with you, gently, wisely, and always with respect. Now let's begin. Reason 1, health emergencies happen faster than you think. In your 40s or 50s, you could travel for hours, skip meals, sleep badly, and still bounce back with a strong cup of coffee and a good night's rest. But after 70, something shifts. It's not that you're weak. It's just that the body becomes quieter in its warnings and more ruthless in its consequences. At home, there's a rhythm to your safety. You know where your medication is. Your doctor knows your history. If something doesn't feel right, you're just a phone call away from help. But once you step into an airport, once the plane takes off, once the cruise ship leaves the dock, you're in unfamiliar waters. And when something goes wrong, time becomes your most dangerous enemy. Let me tell you about James. He was 74, strong for his age, a retired engineer who'd spent a lifetime solving problems. He and his wife, Margaret, had planned a Mediterranean cruise for their 50th anniversary. It was meant to be romantic, restful, a celebration of love that endured through decades. But on the 4th day, James felt a strange tightness in his chest. He didn't want to worry Margaret, so he kept quiet. He told himself it was indigestion, but the pain grew, sweats, dizziness. And by the time he finally told the ship's medical team, they were in open water, hours away from the nearest port. The onboard doctor did his best, but they didn't have the equipment for a proper diagnosis. James had to be airlifted off the ship. The evacuation alone took 3 hours. By the time they reached the hospital, his heart had sustained significant damage. James survived, but barely. And the worst part wasn't just the physical pain, it was the guilt. "I didn't want to ruin the trip," he told his son later. "But looking back, I almost ruined everything." It's a sobering truth. A condition you've been managing for years can suddenly become dangerous in the wrong environment. High altitudes, changes in air pressure, unfamiliar foods, unusual weather, all these can affect your heart, lungs, and even your brain differently than you expect. And let's talk about something most people ignore: blood clots, or deep vein thrombosis. Sitting for long periods on planes or buses can silently increase your risk. You don't feel the danger until the clot moves, and when it does, the results can be catastrophic. Add in dehydration from dry airplane air or heat stroke from walking too long in a sunny plaza, and the body you thought you knew suddenly becomes a stranger. Now consider how hard it is to access care abroad. Not every hospital speaks your language. Not every clinic has access to your medical records. And without the right travel insurance, even basic care can cost thousands of dollars out of pocket. This isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to protect you. Because health emergencies don't wait until you get home. So what can you do? Start with a full medical checkup before you plan anything. Don't just ask if it's okay to travel. Ask your doctor about altitude risks, medication adjustments, activity levels, and even food sensitivities you may need to watch for in your destination. Second, pack smart. Bring more than just your medications. Include a detailed list of your prescriptions, your allergies, your emergency contacts, and ideally, a translated version of key medical phrases in the local language if you're going abroad. Third, get proper travel insurance, not just for delays or lost luggage, but comprehensive coverage that includes medical evacuations, hospital stays, and treatment in foreign countries. And don't assume your regular plan covers this. It usually doesn't. Because the truth is, it's not about giving up your freedom. It's about keeping it. A well-prepared traveler is a powerful traveler at any age. Reason 2. Increased exposure to infections and contaminants. Most people imagine travel as a refreshing escape. Sunlight pouring through cafe windows, exotic dishes served on charming patios, warm air brushing against your face as you explore cobbled streets or bustling markets. But for those over 70, travel doesn't just expose you to new sights. It exposes you to new threats. Invisible ones. The kind that linger on elevator buttons, airplane tray tables, shared menus, or even the polite handshake of a stranger. As we age, our immune system, the invisible shield that once fought off colds, bacteria, and viruses, begins to thin. Not in one big moment, but gradually, like the fading edge of a well-worn quilt. You may not notice it at first, but it becomes very clear when a stomach bug you once would have shaken off in a day keeps you in bed for a week. Take Claire, for example. She was 77, vibrant, full of spirit, and had always dreamed of visiting Morocco. Her daughter surprised her with the trip for her birthday, a once-in-a-lifetime mother-daughter adventure. But on just the second day, after enjoying a beautiful rooftop dinner of grilled lamb and couscous, Claire began to feel unwell. Nausea, cramping, a fever that spiked overnight. What they didn't realize was that the lettuce in her salad had been rinsed in untreated tap water, something her body couldn't handle. By morning, Claire was severely dehydrated and too weak to leave the hotel room. She spent the rest of the trip recovering, missing every planned excursion, and battling an infection her body simply couldn't fight as easily as before. She told her daughters afterward, "I should have been more careful. I forgot that my body doesn't recover like it used to." It's a painful truth. What's safe for locals may not be safe for you. Whether it's the street food your tour guide recommends, the ice cubes in your drink, or even the air you breathe on a long-haul flight, your system hasn't encountered these bacteria before. It doesn't recognize them, and it might not know how to respond. Airports and airplanes, in particular, are breeding grounds for respiratory viruses. You're packed tightly with strangers from every corner of the world, breathing recycled air for hours. And while your seat may look clean, the surfaces, seat belts, armrests, screen buttons, rarely are. And then there's the issue of mobility. Seniors who rely on canes, walkers, or handrails naturally touch more public surfaces than the average traveler. That means more contact with pathogens, more risk. You might think, "I'll just be careful," But the real danger is that we often underestimate how fragile our recovery process has become. So what can be done? First, don't travel without preparation kits, masks, alcohol-based hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, and any over-the-counter medications you might need for stomach upset, allergies, or respiratory distress. These small tools can make a big difference. Second, be cautious with what you eat and drink. Only consume bottled water, even when brushing your teeth. Avoid raw foods, especially salads, uncooked seafood, or street snacks, unless you're certain they're safe. Stick to hot, thoroughly cooked meals, and try to eat in restaurants with high cleanliness standards and lots of local customers. Third, check with your doctor about vaccinations recommended for your destination, especially for flu, pneumonia, or other region-specific illnesses. These vaccines aren't just for young travelers. They're often even more critical for seniors. And finally, travel with awareness, not fear. Being vigilant doesn't mean you're paranoid. It means you're wise. You've lived long enough to know that sometimes it's the quietest threats that cause the most disruption. And taking care of your health doesn't ruin the adventure. It ensures you're well enough to enjoy it. If this part of the video has helped open your eyes to something you hadn't considered before, take a moment to hit the subscribe button. It means more than you know, and it helps us reach others who are quietly navigating these same questions. Reason 3. Travel fatigue and recovery challenges. There's a kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix, and many people over 70 only discover it when they're halfway around the world, lying awake in a hotel bed at 3 a.m., wondering why their body feels like it's been hit by a truck after doing what used to be a simple day of travel. It's not just the miles, it's the disruption. The unfamiliar beds, the jarring airport announcements, the 4 a.m. wake-up calls, the pressure to keep up with tours, itineraries, or even your travel companions. What was once invigorating has become exhausting in a way that's hard to explain unless you've lived it. That's what happened to Richard and his wife Carol. After retiring, they planned a 2-week trip to Spain, an old dream from their honeymoon days. But between the 10-hour flight, the 6-hour time difference, and back-to-back excursions, Richard felt like he was dragging his body through each day. By day 3, his knees were swollen, his focus dulled, and he found himself nodding off in museums. "I wanted to enjoy it," he said, "but I was too tired to be present. I spent most of the trip waiting for it to end so I could rest." You see, as we age, recovery slows down. The body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. Jet lag can linger for a week or more. One poor night of sleep can affect your mood, memory, and balance for days. Even mild dehydration, which happens quickly during travel, can cause headaches, dizziness, and confusion. And let's not forget digestion. Older adults often have more sensitive stomachs, and traveling with unfamiliar food, odd eating times, and skipped meals can lead to bloating, discomfort, or even constipation. When your body is off rhythm, everything feels harder. The result? Many seniors return from their vacations more fatigued than before they left. They don't feel renewed, they feel drained, and they quietly wonder, was it worth it? But here's the truth. You don't have to stop traveling. You just have to change how you travel. Choose shorter flights with layovers that give your body time to move and breathe. Build in rest days between activities. Avoid the temptation to pack every hour with something to do. Your presence is more important than your pace. Stay hydrated. Bring familiar snacks. Permit yourself to nap in the afternoon. And if the tour group feels too fast, don't hesitate to skip a day. The best memories are made when your body and soul feel safe enough to enjoy them. And if you've ever come home from a trip feeling worse than when you left, you're not alone. Many older adults feel the same way, but never say it out loud. Let this video be a gentle reminder that rest is not weakness. It's wisdom. If this resonates with you or reminds you of a trip you took that left you more tired than joyful, let us know in the comments. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to this channel. This is our third invitation because we believe in building a space where people like you feel seen, supported, and gently guided as you navigate life after 70. There's more to discuss, and we're only halfway through. Reason 4, falls and injuries are more likely at home. You know which rugs to avoid and where the lights are. But on a cobblestone street in Italy or a steep staircase in Greece, one misstep can change everything. That's exactly what happened to Eleanor, 78. A dimly lit curb in Rome, a small misstep, a broken hip, surgery, recovery, and months of lost independence. Falls are one of the leading causes of hospitalization among seniors. And they don't just cause physical pain, they steal freedom. A trip should not come at the cost of your ability to walk freely when you return. If you're traveling, choose destinations with good accessibility. Use proper footwear. Pack a cane or walking stick if needed. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Pride is no match for safety. Reason 5, financial risks. You didn't see coming travel can be expensive, but not just because of flights and hotels. What many seniors don't plan for is what happens when something goes wrong. George, 76, booked a tropical getaway. The hotel? A scam. It didn't exist. His money, gone. He had to scramble to find a last-minute place to stay, doubling his budget. And the stress followed him home. Worse, many seniors think their regular health insurance will cover them abroad. It often doesn't. Emergency care, hospital stays, or medical evacuations can cost tens of thousands of dollars if you don't have the right travel insurance. Even trip cancellations can be financially devastating, especially when airlines or cruise lines offer no refunds. So here's what to do. Only book with verified companies. Never wire money to unfamiliar places. Get comprehensive travel insurance, and always have a backup fund for emergencies. Reason 6, emotional stress and loneliness. During travel, there's one more danger of traveling after 70 that few people ever talk about because it's not visible on X-rays or medical charts. But it's just as real. It's the emotional toll. You might think traveling will lift your spirits, give you something to look forward to. And sometimes it does. But for many older adults, especially those who travel alone or with a partner who also has limitations, the emotional strain of navigating unfamiliar places can lead to anxiety, isolation, and even depression. Imagine this. You're standing in a foreign train station, signs in a language you don't understand, luggage in hand, and no one to ask for help. Your phone signal is weak. You feel lost, overwhelmed. Suddenly, instead of joy, your chest fills with panic. That's what happened to Marjorie, 79. Widowed 3 years earlier, she decided to take a solo trip to feel alive again. But halfway through the journey, after missing a connection and struggling to communicate with hotel staff, she broke down in tears in the middle of a hotel lobby. "I thought I'd be okay," she later said. "But I never realized how alone I could feel with so many people around me." As we age, our tolerance for change shrinks. Our desire for routine, for comfort, for familiarity grows stronger. And while new sights and sounds once brought excitement, they can now bring fatigue and disconnection. Even if you travel with others, emotional stress can creep in. You might feel like a burden if you can't keep up, or guilty if others have to change plans for your needs. These feelings, though subtle, can steal the joy from what was meant to be a restorative experience. So what can be done? First, be honest about your emotional state. Ask yourself, am I traveling to escape something or to enrich my life? If you feel unsure, maybe what you truly need isn't a flight, but companionship, connection, or rest. Second, plan for emotional comfort as much as physical ease. Choose destinations where you speak the language or know someone nearby. Book small, guided tours with senior-friendly options. Make sure there's time built in for quiet moments, familiar food, and calls home. And third, never underestimate the power of local joy. Sometimes the most beautiful trip isn't across the world, it's across town. A picnic with old friends, a scenic train ride to a nearby lake, or simply visiting a museum you've always meant to see. Because traveling after 70 doesn't need to prove anything. It just needs to feel good to your heart. And if this message resonates with you, if you've ever felt lonely in a crowd or overwhelmed by a trip you thought would be easy, let us know in the comments. Your voice matters here. Travel is beautiful. It expands your mind, renews your spirit, and fills your heart with memories. But after 70, it's not just about the destination. It's about preparation, awareness, and respect for the limits of your body. You don't have to stop exploring the world. You just have to do it smarter. That might mean shorter trips, local adventures, or simply choosing comfort over chaos. Because at this stage in life, peace matters more than passport stamps. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, please leave a comment below and share which insight hit home for you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. We're here to support your journey wherever it takes you, with care, truth, and wisdom. See you in the next video.